piece of your master game plan, free from the earthly temptations below. I got the will, Lord, if you got the toe. Drop me, good Jesus, on the goalpost of life. End over end, neither left nor right. Straight through the heart of them righteous uprights. Drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalpost of life. Bring on the brothers who've gone on before, and all the sisters who've knocked on your door. All the departed dear loved ones of mine, stick 'em up front in that offensive line. A lowly bench warmer I'm contented to be, until the time you have need of me. The flash of the big scoreboard shines from above, the big Super Bowl way up in the sky. Drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalpost of your life. End over end, neither left nor right. Straight through the heart of them righteous uprights. Drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalpost of life. Drop me, kick Jesus, through the goalpost of life. Drop me, kick Jesus, through the goalpost of life. Score!
Good morning, everybody. This is just about as auspicious a day as you can get. Really, on the auspicious scale, we are at 10.5. Yeah, auspicious. Well, first of all, we're having this ball game later. Also, we're winding down our soup collections, and I notice the soups just keep coming in. And so, in a festive experience, it's kind of fun to just get festive. Really, we're going to be hooting and hollering over people trying to catch pigskins. Honestly, when you think about it, everything's possible. So let's go back to the soup. I was taking pictures of people who have been collecting soup and all of the soup. And it's really a great thing because we'll be giving food to people who don't have the money for a Super Bowl party. And food is going to be essential to them. So in a way, it's a win-win-win-win-win. And how many of you have got your game spirit on? Good. So then play with me here. So we were out at the lobby door singing, "There's only one soup. That soup is God's soup. That soup is perfect. That soup is our soup now, right now." Thank you. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but since we've got our game spirit on, let's just get our game spirit on. So we've got Super Bowl. We've got soup for people who can't, have food otherwise. We're so excited about that. Also, we will be celebrating Reverend Heather Venegas later, who was ordained on Friday. That's an absolutely fabulous thing. And also, let's celebrate anyone else who's having a birthday. If you are having a birthday, stand up or wave your hand so we can give you a gift. There's a birthday. One birthday. Anyone else? Birthday, 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 birthday. One birthday? Oh, geez. Well, I'm grateful you're here. We should give her lots of extra attention. All of our birthday love should go right there. All right, so also sign in. If you're on Facebook, let people know that you're getting your pre-party going and that's a big deal. Tomorrow is our High Holy Day. and it's getting sort of waylaid because of Super Bowl, but that's okay. I'll insert it somehow. Because the High Holy Day is Groundhog's Day, because other churches hadn't taken it yet. Because all holidays that you experience, which is Easter and Christmas and all those others, started out as pagan holidays, but Groundhog's Day hadn't been taken. So it's ours. So tomorrow, just allow your inner groundhog to be released and see the light, okay? That's auspicious. And the last auspicious thing about today, and it's the biggest auspicious thing about today, is I will be talking about football. Yes. Yes. My first in 30 years talk about football. And you were here to hear it. Yes, there is a God. So, let's talk football. One of the things that's making the rounds of information and interest is that the Seahawks practice mindfulness. Now, they don't use the word meditation because that seems too feminine and too woo-woo. So they call it mindfulness, which is really about being mindful. And meditation helps you become more mindful. So let's practice some mindfulness. We're going to spend some time in silence, and then we'll hear a lovely song, and then we'll hear a beautiful prayer by Reverend Harold, appropriately dressed for the day, Reverend Harold Costa. But right now, let's practice mindfulness. So during this time of silence and song and prayer, if your mind wants to wander, bring it back. That's all it is. If your mind wants to go to this afternoon, bring it back. If your mind wants to go backwards, bring it back. It's an ancient teaching. And it's been around for thousands of years of human history because it works. So take a deep breath. Feel the chair. Feel yourself breathe. Be mindful of what's going on around you, but stay centered in that mindfulness.
So I invite you right here and now to become mindful. Mindful of the very love of God that is within our very heart, within our entire being. For truly there is only one heart, one love, infinite in its expression, perfect, undefended, unconditional love. For that love is who we are. And just as this time where there is so much excitement for the Super Bowl, do we recognize that the very love of God is supporting us, cheering us on, loving who we are, for we are the expression of it. We are that love. We are that expression. And so during this service, I welcome that. I welcome the ability to not only feel that love, to be that love, but to also see that love. To see it in our entire musical team. To see it and hear it within the very words of Reverend Kathianne. It may be football, but when it comes to sports, God is there too. God is everywhere. And so I open this service knowing that love is abound. That love is endless. That love moves out over the mountains and the seas and blesses not just one of us, but all of us. We are all winners. And so it is.
The talk title is Living Out Loud. Seemed appropriate now, although 4 months ago when I came up with that talk title, who knew we would be in the Super Bowl? And it's appropriate because some of you will have a very sore throat tomorrow because you'll be living out loud today. It's okay. And really what I want to talk about is that you get to decide to live full out. You decide to live full out because, yes, I do believe the Hawks will win today. I believe that they will be winners. I mean, I just have that gut feeling. Who knows? Maybe not. But what I really care about is that you are a winner, that you feel like you're winning, because even if your team wins, how will you be in a month from now? That's what counts. At least that's, the Hawks have their own coach. I actually forgot his name, Pete Carroll. I called him Coach Hoosie Poots first service, and now he's got his new nickname. Some people said it was the best thing I said. There was only one person. And when they show up next week as a frog, I don't do that anymore. Anyway. It's fun to be in a fun spirit, isn't it? But really and truly, just as First Service are die-hard spiritual people, they're die-hard. They were die-hard Seahawks fans. So when I said what I cared about was that they became winners more than the Seahawks winning, there were some people that were crestfallen. Really? Like, really? Really? It's really all about them. No, it's not about them. They have their own coach telling them that it's all about them. I'm here for you. It's all about you. You. And so we're going to ride that spirit. I'm definitely, if nothing else, willing to ride the wave of whatever's happening. So at Christmas, I ride the wave of Christmas. Easter, I'm going to ride that wave. We're going to go into the tomb and back out again. It's going to be fun. Tomorrow, I'm going to ride the wave of people for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, celebrating that they were halfway to the spring equinox. Yeah. So just take a moment and be conscious of Mother Earth and Father Sky. How many of you have noticed the days are getting longer? Isn't it lovely? It is. So I want you to become a winner. I want you to live out loud, live full out as a winner. Now, Vince Lombardi said, I don't really quote Vince much, but I will today. Vince Lombardi said, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. Now, that doesn't seem very spiritual, does it? Honestly and truly, I've worked with spiritual people for 30 years, and I will probably always have a job because I've noticed that sometimes people take on the mantle of spirituality because their soul brings them to this place, and then they think they have to give up everything that's material or earthly. No. It's not about leaving the earth. It's about bringing God to it. And everything that is God, to bring it into this plan, into this planet, and into this realm of manifestation. That's spiritual. It is not about leaving anything. It's about incorporating everything. Because when people really understand what the mystics have said, they will understand that everything's God. So there is no leaving behind. There's only the expansion of all that is good. So synonyms, I need more Diet Coke. Anyway, synonyms for winning can also be to acquire, to gain, to succeed, to advance, and to make headway. Doesn't that sound good? I mean, really, who wants to gain? Except for weight. Who wants to gain, succeed, advance, make headway? We do. Now, this is really, I love this day, because God wants me to talk about everybody, including Ronald Reagan. So, Ronald Reagan said, my philosophy of life is that if you make up your mind, or if we make up our mind, what we are going to make out of our lives, then work towards that goal, we never lose. Somehow, we will make out. And make up my mind sounds a lot like deciding, and we've been looking at the book, The Power of Decision. It's really, all today is going to be about decision. Deciding to be mindful, to decide to have a goal, to decide to pursue it, to decide. Ernest Holmes said, there is a divine urge within us, ever pushing us towards the goal of greater expression. So, when we become more spiritual, we'll actually start feeling a push towards a greater expression of what that spirit could be on this earth. Now, back to football. To win, you have to score points or goals. You have to win. If you want to win, you got to have some goals. Ernest Holmes, Ronald Reagan. And you have to score those goals. So for a touchdown, you get 6 points. After the touchdown is made, you get a chance to do some extra points, and you can either get 1 or 2 points depending upon how you get the ball back over the goal post. Now, you can kick it like Jesus. Thus, drop kick me, Jesus, through the goal post of life. So you can kick it, which is pretty sure, I mean, those guys are pretty good at it. The odds of making the extra point are pretty good when you're kicking. But if you want 2 points, you've got to rush it over. That's harder. My husband was quizzing me. So not only is he teaching me about football, then he wants me to know about strategy. That's just too much. So he said, so, Kathianne, it's halftime, and you're tied with the other team. You just made a score. Now you've got an opportunity to kick it for 1 more or go for 2. What are you going to do? I said, I'd go for 2. No, go for the 1 because it's a sure thing. I said, no, go for the 2, double down. Why be even when you could go way far advanced? Which is why I go to Las Vegas and he doesn't. So, just saying. But really, in a way, it's like, play it safe. This is all about your game, by the way. Do we play to win or do we play not to lose? Yeah, you could lose with that 2 points, but you could win with it too. So in the experience of the divine urging us to find an outlet so that it could work through us, we honor that expression when we set high and holy intentions and let those intentions form our thoughts and actions. So we become informed. We become intention informed. They inform us. We start to be shaped by those intentions simply by holding them. So I have a little side thing here. It didn't go with the talk, but I want to talk about it. So this is an aside, and it's important. After the last game 2 weeks ago, how many of you watched the game 2 weeks ago? Of course you did. You weren't here. Did I tell you that God and I are just like this? God doesn't keep score, but I do. Who's going to pray for you now? Anyway, I'm having the spirit of fun. So, but this is true. After that game, Russell Wilson was filmed crying and being so grateful, and he said, "God is so good." It was caught on film, and critics said that that was the wrong thing to say because God does not fix the football game. It doesn't fix the football game. God doesn't fix the football game. If it did, since we're like this, I'd be rich. But I honestly could understand why he would say that. Because how many of you have ever been in the zone where you know that something greater than yourself is operating? And doesn't it feel like God is so good when you're there? Because something greater than yourself is doing what seems to be being done by you, but it's not you. It comes out of mindfulness and surrendering to something greater and being taken over by a divine urge to express yourself in whatever arena or field you're participating in. I think Russell was feeling that divine spirit work through him to do things he didn't think he could do. But that divine urge and spirit is accessible to everyone. Are we willing to access it ourselves? Are we accessible? My job is to make you accessible. Or no, I can't make you do anything. My job isn't to encourage you to be accessible, to facilitate the divine working through you in great and fabulous ways for your good and for the good of all humanity. Now back to football. The points or goals are made up of smaller yet important wins called downs. You can't make a point without a down, but you can make a whole bunch of downs without a point. How many of you have made lots of downs? Oh, you've gone down and down and down and down, and you know, and just the goal isn't made. How many of you, it's like the treadmill, blah, blah, you work, and it just don't get there. That's a possibility. We can't celebrate and stop at having little wins if the divine urge wants us to really fulfill our goal or high holy intention. We can't say, wow, I just did 30 yards. Woohoo. Can't we just stop and celebrate that? No. The sponsors and the fans and the rest of your team want you to make the goal. Life wants you to fulfill yourself and fulfill what Spirit can be through you. In the process of going through all of those minor wins, there's also the opportunity to have incredible upset. There's the opportunity for upset. You can lose the ball, you can lose yards, and you can also lose the game. So with all of the working forward, sometimes you lose, and here's the deal. It's good. Dale Carnegie said, develop success from failures. Discouragement and failures are two stepping stones to success. Let me say that again. Develop success through failures. Failures and discouragement are stepping stones to success. We don't often think of that. How many of you, when you've failed, just want to stop? No, only just 2 of you, 3, 4. one of the reasons that I absolutely love learning something that I don't know much about is because I get to go through my upset when I can't do it. Anything worth doing is worth doing really poorly. Because most likely you will do poorly when you start out. Let's go back to the Seahawks. First part of the season, did they look like winners? Not winners, though. So-so, but not winners. They came off of a Super Bowl high and didn't fulfill even probably their own expectations, let alone the expectations of the fans. But most likely, they took what they did and they went back and they talked about it and they got better because of it. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly so you can learn from it. Let's go back 2 weeks ago. Did they look like they were going to win the first half? But most likely, they learned from what they were doing, and at halftime, they had a conversation with their coach. This is what we're doing. This is what they're doing. We're going to have to reorganize and regroup. They didn't let failure be their mantra. We can learn from that. Let's go back to Pete Carroll. Coach Hoosie Poots. This is the introduction to his book, Win Forever. He said, I slammed the book shut, stunned. It had been 6 months since I'd been fired as the head coach of the New England Patriots. In the summer of 2000. And I was trying to figure out what to do next with my life. He learned from that failure. And look what happens. Winning the game requires that we decide to set the restart button over and over and over again. The people that we celebrate as winners were always huge losers. You will not find a winner that wasn't a huge loser in any sport or in any endeavor. The difference is they learned from how they lost, regrouped, retrained, and retried. And that's what we can do. And I'll tell you, there's times I just want to quit. I have this wonderful coach who's got this trainer, actually, for my horseback riding now. And she asks me to do things that are impossible until they're not. Until I try it and try it and try it, and then all of a sudden, I'm doing it. But if I'd stopped, I'd never do it. It's the way of all things. So, back to football. This leads me to obstacles. Because, see, this whole story is not about what will happen on the field today or this afternoon in another state. This is about the field of your own consciousness, the field of your life. So, you're going forward, and then there's this defense that wants to keep you from going forward if we're playing football. But in life, we're going forward to through this urge to achieve a goal, and yet we're just blocked at every turn. How many of you feel like there's 11 guys with body pads and helmets blocking you from your good? And they're ferocious. And they're not, don't take it personal. They don't hate you. They're just not going to let you have what you want. So you can't even call them names. See, sometimes in the game of our own consciousness, we can throw a perfect pass to an undefended receiver, and it is glorious, beautiful. Everybody cheers. Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. And he comes out of nowhere, grabs the ball, runs over, and then jumps up and down, and it's so exciting, and everybody goes, yay! It doesn't happen that often. Most of the time, they have to work at it down after down after down because there's a bunch of guys there that really don't want them to move forward. And the closer you get into the red zone, the more compact the defense gets. So for all of you that raised your hand that you feel like there's some guys with padding coming after you, I have to ask, oh, by the way, can I just say, I fell in love with the Ducks team during the Rose Bowl because they were playing against Florida State or Florida, I don't know, it was warm. Florida State. What, Florida State? They were playing against Florida State, and Florida State had one yard to go to touchdown. 1st and 1, 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, 4 and 1, and the Ducks kept them. I just loved it. It was so impossible. So what happens is the closer you get to your goal, it seems like more and more obstacles show up. Now in football, it's because they have less room to work, so everything gets condensed. But in your life, why is that happening? See, this whole game is a metaphor. It is a divine play for the benefit of your soul. So why is there opposition to your goals? Why is it when you get so close to what you want, everything falls apart? Why is that? Kind of. Because why is there opposition on the football field? Well, kind of. You can't have a game without a challenge. Because who would watch? I'm sure glad I paid $200 for this. So you're right. It's like, why would we? We wouldn't. If there's no game, we don't want to watch. And perhaps when you suited up, when you incarnated and suited up, you decided to set on the field of your own life, the playing field, your own defense. Because see, if this is a divine game, we're not just the hero and the quarterback. We're also the defense. We are that which opposes ourselves. Now, it doesn't seem right, but it is true. If it says all one, there's only one God, that God is my God. See, if there's only one, that one out there opposing you is you. Now here's how it works. You have a belief that you can't have your goal. What's a belief you can't have your goal? Somebody give me a belief. Not worthy. What's another one? Can't be rich. What else? It's never happened before. What's else? Don't know enough? Why is this whole team over here is quiet? Okay, what? Don't deserve it. So I'm not good enough, don't deserve it, not worthy, it's never happened before. You have all these thoughts in your head, and guess what? Central casting brings someone to impersonate that belief. And they show up and go, well, it's never happened before. And besides that, you just don't even deserve it. And you're certainly not worthy, and you can't be rich. Do you know who you are? So all of this stuff shows up so that we can remember who we are. You don't remember who you are if you're laying around on the couch watching TV, eating bonbons. Really? It's too easy. set it up. I have to believe that. There's a song by David Pomerantz that said, we bought the ticket and we've been watching only half of the show. We suited up, we bought the ticket to express all that is within us. See, we want to prove to ourselves that we are the ruler of our playing field, that we are the ruler of our consciousness, which in biblical terms means that we have dominion and reign in the kingdom of heaven, which is always within. As a child of God, we must deny that there is anything that has power over us. It doesn't mean that it's not happening. It doesn't mean that that person in front of us doesn't say, I don't like you. But it does mean that we can't give them our power. Who's got dominion here? So it's so much fun when you overcome. How many of you have ever overcome someone's disbelief in you and how good it feels? That disbelief in you represents a tiny bit of disbelief in yourself. And so when you overcome that which is without, you overcome that which is within. When you overcome that which is within, you overcome that which is without. They'll either change their mind or they'll go away because you're not playing anymore. Now back to the red zone. So you've made it so far, and then the defense seems to come up even more. And oftentimes, though, it just calls for a new strategy. Just as there was probably some sort of wild, wonderful locker room talk 2 weeks ago between first half and second half, you get to give yourself a kind of a locker room talk because the opponents know what you're going to do because you've been doing them all the way down the field. Not only all the way down the field, but probably every single game. They don't just practice, they watch what other teams do. They're informed. Your opposition is informed. It knows all your tricks because it is your tricks. It's a part of you. So here's the deal. When things get really tough, you may have to change your strategy. We will always get to the point where what we have used to succeed won't serve us anymore, and we have to come up with a new strategy. So if, for instance, we think we know how to forgive, we may have to know how to forgive at a totally new level. And if we think we know how to love, we may have to learn to love at a totally new level. And if we think we know how to be faithful and disciplined, we may have to learn to be faithful and disciplined at a totally new level. We can never say we've got all the moves because the Spirit in us will give us the moves that will help us acquire our goal if we are inwardly teachable. See, all the people that came to the Hawks, most likely they had some moves. And they had to learn new ones or leave the team. And they're always going to have to be learning new ones because someone's going to figure them out, which means they've got to be ahead of the game. Somebody's help me. What is the kind of strategy that they use where they don't do a huddle? They just go from down to down, no huddles. That's what they call it, no huddle offense. I love it. Because the defense doesn't even have time to figure out what you're going to do. They just go from one to... I love it. It finally made football not boring. Because before it's like, do a play, do the dishes, do a play. Now it's like, whoa, you got to keep your eye on the ball. It's going fast. And we can be that way too. Why? Because divine intelligence works through you. Do you know that you can know exactly what you need to know in the moment you need to know it? You don't have to say, oh, excuse me, I'll get back to you. I have to go meditate. Do a 10-day retreat. Can I catch you? I mean, it's okay to think it's okay, but do you know that you can get to the point where you will always be able to move forward? It's true. So, would you like to win at life? Here's what I really want to ask you. Are you willing to be as excited about your life as you are about that game this afternoon? Really? Do you know there's more excitement and adrenaline happening at a football game than someone saying, you know what, I am going to get the education I want. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to make a difference in the world. I'm going to have a family that loves me. I'm going to be loved dearly by someone. I'm going to be free. That's exciting. God is so excited about this game. Why? Because people are excited. God lives through the joy that we express. It lives through everything, but because God is joy, it lives through that joy. Well, why not have joy all the time? So, I'm going to give you my locker room talk. Try to keep it clean. I almost said a bad word for service, but I won't this time because we're being recorded. Hello. This locker room talk comes from the Old Testament, Buddhism, Jesus, and Pete Carroll. Now, Pete Carroll has an unrelenting focus on three things. The first one can be found in the Old Testament over and over and over again, and it can be, put in a synopsis by saying that if God be for us, who can be against us? Optimism. They had to stay optimistic when they were not doing well the first part of the season. And they really had to be optimistic when they were not doing well at the last game. It's an unrelenting optimism. People with a healthy point of view get over stuff faster. Optimism. It's been said by some of the news. I never think it's news anymore. And anyway, those people, bloggers and such, that pictures show that even when the Seahawks were winning 2 weeks ago, they never had a dejected look on their face. They still looked optimistic because they still were, because they were trained to stay optimistic. Trained, which brings me to the next one, the next thing. After being unrelentingly focused on optimism, they are unrelentingly trained to be mindful. Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, most Eastern teachings, thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Maybe people will start paying attention to it when games start being won. But it's not just games, it's happening in corporations, and it should be happening in our life all the time. Mindful means you get to watch your mind and train your mind to direct your mind in the way that you want it to go. Because if you are not distracted by the upset, you can start to stay optimistic, and when you're optimistic, you will see the opportunity. If you're distracted by what's going on, you'll miss opportunities. How many of you have had that happen? Because I've got time, I'll tell you. I remember there was a time that I made the mistake of moving from Eugene to Seattle and ending up at Capitol Hill and wondering why men weren't interested in me. So out of that failure, I decided that there was something wrong with me, that I was a hick, and that I was unattractive and that men just weren't into me, and it was awful. Except I would go to this place called the Surrogate Hostess almost every night for dinner. How many of you remember the Surrogate Hostess? Man, it had good food. And I would sit by these guys, and I was just always dejected and looking down. It wasn't until almost a year later when I'd finally found and got engaged to my one of those husbands. That a group of men that I went back kind of like, I'm in the area, so I went and had lunch at the Surrogate Hostess, and I was different, and they saw me as different, and they started talking to me, and they said, we had a crush on you for so long, but I would have never seen it because I saw myself as something that men in Seattle didn't like. Therefore, even if they liked me, I couldn't see it. You have to be optimistic, and you have to stay optimistic. Optimism doesn't happen when the hormones are just right. I'm having an optimistic moment. No, you must always train your mind to be optimistic. Does that make sense? Okay, great. So, I want you to have an unrelenting focus on optimism, an unrelenting focus on mindfulness, and an unrelenting attitude of gratitude. Pure Jesus. Because he never worked a miracle in all of the recordings that we have in the New Testament without saying thank you first. He started with thank you. If you want something great to happen, be grateful. If you want that goal, God wants you to have your goal. There will be oppositions. You set it up. Play the game. Look at the opposition and say, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true. Now, don't say it to the people, unless you're really brave. But say it in your own head. They may think that, but that's not true of me. It may be said, but it's not true of me. I will refuse to believe it. I will refuse to succumb to it. So are you ready for your pep talk? Then stand up. Yeah, here we go. Repeat after me. I sang that lightly because people first service went, I repeat after me. No, I don't want you to repeat after me. I believe in God. I believe in the life that lives through me. I believe I was created to live out loud. I will not be discouraged. I will always look for the way to get out of or over any difficulty. I am grateful for this day. I love my life. Go Hawks! David Pomerantz. We bought the ticket, but we've been watching only half of the show. So I give thanks that this day we open up that ticket and we say, you know what? I want the whole meal deal. I want to suit up, get off the bench, and move out to the field of my life and go for my goals. For I know that which has given me the goal is that which will get me through the obstacles. And I know the obstacles that I face are only there so that I can claim who I truly am, and I am going to go right over them and into the end zone and jump up and down for joy and then do it all over again. That is my life. That is our life if we choose. And so I give thanks with that amount of exuberance and that amount of creative impulsion. I invite you to bless your gift. Let this place be the place where people enthusiastically embrace possibilities. Let this be the place where we surround those who are hurt and we lift them up and we care for them until they're ready to get back on the field. May this be the place where we encourage each other to remember that we're more than we think we are. May this be the place where every position is honored and loved and blessed. There are no superstars, there's only superstars. Thank you, sweet Spirit, for our opportunity to support that which supports us, and so it is.